Hey, this is Edward, your favorite homeboy, and if you've been watching some of our videos, you've seen that I had to put on the builder hat, and wasn't the funnest experience, probably because I had to deal with a lot of vendors. But you know, dealing with vendors is something we do a lot in property management. So that's one thing that builders and property managers have in common. You know, vendors can make your job really difficult. They can not show up on time. They can tell you one thing and do another. They can lie in your face. They can, you know, charge you obscene prices. Or if you have a great vendor, reliable and fair and giving you good judgment, good sound wisdom, and helping you make decisions, they can make your job a lot easier. And so in this video, you're going to find out how, as a property management company, we maintain solid vendor relationships. How do we recruit? How do we keep? How do we find these vendors? And we're going to talk to you about our preferred vendor program. So stay tuned for the rest of this video and find out the details on our preferred vendor agreement. So last month, me and my wife had our 17th anniversary, and I wanted to do something special. Usually I buy her a gift, you know. As you know, every anniversary year, there's like a special theme, and I'm one of those suckers that falls for that. So I'm like, oh, it's this theme. I'll buy a gift that's kind of related to that theme. And I can't remember 17 years if it was anything really significant. I think it was just something weird like silk. I'm like, what am I going to buy my wife that's silky? Don't even go there. So I was like, I'll just take her out for a nice meal, right? So I was like, well, what kind of nice restaurant can we go to? And I didn't want to go into DC because every time I go there, I regret it. I just don't like going in fighting traffic and all the, you know, traffic lights and one-way streets. So I did a little search and I looked up like Michelin-starred restaurants. And I've never really been to a Michelin-starred restaurant, so I didn't know much about it. I did learn that 3 stars is the most you can get. And there's not many Michelin-starred 3-star restaurants in the world, but even in this area, I think there's only one 3-star Michelin restaurant, and that was called the Inn at Little Washington. And it's, instead of going east to DC, we went west, kind of in the countryside. So I was like, hey, let's try that. And it wasn't hard to get reservations, so we booked it. So I took my wife to this restaurant, Inn at Little Washington. It's really cool. You know, you drive up and they take your car, they valet it, which isn't that special, except that I could have just drove around the corner 20 feet and parked it because it was a small little town. But they took the car, they opened the door, they took a picture of me and my wife at the front of the restaurant. It was a great little restaurant. What was cool about it? Well, I had a menu that was kind of like prefixed, and then I was able to select from that multi-course menu. Then my wife, she also had a separate one. Now, oftentimes the same table has to get the same menu, but in this case, we were able to choose from our 2 different menus, which was pretty cool. So we were just able to share and double up on the amount of variety that we got. Another cool thing was they had a tea menu that, you know, you open it up, the tea menu, and there's like all these different teas. So I was like, how much is it? And they said, it's free. So I'm like, well, yeah, buddy, we're doing a tea testing. So I think we tried like 6 or 7 teas that night. And then of course, had to use the restroom because I drink a lot of tea. And I mean, they had like a cologne there that was the chef's choice cologne. They had, you know, usually you go into the bathroom and you're like, you know, picking stuff out of your teeth. No, not in a 3-star Michelin restaurants. They had 3-star Michelin rated toothbrushes. So, you know, naturally I had to try one of those toothbrushes out, and that was pretty interesting until a guy almost walked in on me while I was brushing my teeth. But all in all, awesome experience. And why am I mentioning this when I'm talking about vendors? Well, because just like restaurants have ratings, we have ratings for our vendors. And we have a 5-star rating, which is the most, and 0 stars, which is they're non-tested, 1 star meaning don't ever use them again. And so we rate our vendors. And so our whole vendor program has kind of evolved over the years, but this year, 2020, it's actually, we're getting really organized. We have a vendor agreement, and in this vendor agreement, we sit down with vendors, you know, we call them up and say, hey, look, we spent over $500,000 a year easily on vendors. And if you want a piece of the action, then here's a few expectations we have. First of all, of course, anyone that we work with, we really want them to be a 4-star vendor, which means they're reliable, they communicate well, they charge fairly, they invoice us, they have insurance, W-9, all the basic stuff you would typically expect from a vendor, but as you know, it's very hard to find. And so our goal is to have 3 4-star vendors in every category. Why 3? Well, backups, right? Just in case one gets busy or we need multiple bids. So the goal is 3 4-star vendors in every category. And we just kind of have been making phone calls this year, sitting down with vendors and reviewing our vendor agreements with them, and just to make sure that they're cool with everything and they understand our expectations and they can represent the Mars Hill brand properly. But we also let them know that, you know, this is a two-way street. We're providing you lots of business. We want you to grow with us, but here's some ways you can help us. One, if you see anything at the property that is fishy, you know, you have a cockroach running across your face as you're doing work, yeah, you might want to let us know. If you see a dirty poopy diaper in the middle of the living room, maybe not so much unless there's dirty poopy and there's no diaper, then you might want to let us know. If there's things that are leaking that you see, or just some obvious stuff, we don't expect you to go around with a magnifying glass around the whole house, but if your technician or your cleaner is out there and they see something, let us know. Now you can be our additional set of eyes and ears, and you're really partnering with us. You're not just doing the work, getting paid, you're actually going the extra step to help us. So there's ways that now we're able to not just basically leverage our vendor network to help us and extend our reach, extend our ability to manage that property. So that's been really cool. The other way that they can benefit is if they're a 5-star vendor. So how do you get the Mars Hill Michelin 5-star? Well, you actually have to not just do a great job, be our additional eyes and ears, but also cross-promote the Mars Hill company to your own network. So if they refer business to us and they're not just growing with us, but they're actually helping us grow, then we want to be able to give them more business as a way to thank them for just being a cheerleader for our business. So right now we have it where every 4-star vendor is limited to just 50% of the business. So we won't give more than half of our business to one vendor. That way we can create multiple relationships and just kind of share the wealth. But if they're actually going to help us grow, refer business to us and strategic partnerships, well then they can receive up to 75% of our business. So that's just our way of thanking them for, you know, helping us. And that's one way we find good vendors and keep good vendors and maintain the good qualities. We make sure it's a win-win scenario. So if you're out there, whether you're a self-managing property manager, if you're another property management company, anyone that deals with vendors, I mean, you could just be a homeowner, think about those concepts. You may not have $500,000 to give away every year and have that type of leverage that we do, but think about how it can be a win-win. For example, when I deal with vendors, I like to find vendors who really rely on the rating system on Google, because I'll tell them, hey, I found you on Google. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So if they do a great job, I'm not shy about, hey, I'm going to let the world know you did an awesome job. But if they do a crappy job, then, hey, the world's gonna know about that too. And so it's really fair, because now I've basically put them on notice and said, do a great job like you're supposed to, and I'll basically tip you with a great review. You do a bad job, then that's going to reflect on you as well. So there are ways you can make win-win scenarios even as an individual homeowner who doesn't have the huge leverage of lots of work. I know it's very difficult when I was building my house because I was just a one-time builder, so some of the trades were not looking at me like a repeat client, and that was an uphill battle sometimes. But that's another benefit of hiring professional property manager, is we do have the leverage and the long-term relationships with our vendor database. Well, that's about it. That's all I have to say about that. If you're a vendor and you're looking for a great property manager to partner with, give us a shout out. And if you know any vendors that you think could use a great property management partner, let us know about that. And we hope you like this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, comment below and tell us what you liked about this video and what other videos you'd like to see, and we'll be sure to take that into account when we make our future video. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. This is your favorite homeboy signing out.